Good evening, one and all, and welcome to episode 233 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you, as always, live from YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so, and you will find a way to support my work on Ko-fi using the link below in the video description. But for those of you who are watching live, a very quick little bit of information. I'm planning something of a Love at First Scent fest today, because we're going to do a single perfume video on this new release here. Then we will come back with another single perfume video. Then we will come back, all being well, technology permitting, with a third and final single perfume video. And then after all of that, I'm going to give you a feature-length top 10 video. This isn't going to mean very much to any of you watching the recording, but I need to give a little bit of time and consideration to the people who go out of their way to join the lives. So you could, if you have got the time, you could be here with me in the virtual Persolaise studio, or the Persolaise virtual studio, for quite some time today. If you can't make it, if you can't stick around, don't worry. Apologize for the slightly colorless appearance. I'm recovering from a cold, but I know that my smelling organ is absolutely fine. And anyway, most of the things we're going to be talking about, I have smelt before. First comment goes to DJ, who says, can't wait for this one. Anthony saying happy Saturday all. Professor Melvin, Mr. P treating us with multiple videos today. Well, that is the plan. Let's see how we go. And we're starting to get into festive mode. And like I said in one of the videos that I did last week, I want to try to get as many videos done in December as possible, because time is running out, and there are going to be family commitments, as I'm sure there will be for you as well, as the festive season goes into its highest gear. And then, of course, at the very end of the year, probably somewhere around the 29th or 30th of December, one of those days, as soon as I've decided which day it's going to be, I will let you know. I will present my list of the top 10 perfumes of the year. Eric is saying hello from Texas. I'm sadly not going to be here for every video today, but I'll rewatch later. That's absolutely fine. Please don't worry. I haven't given very much notice of these ones today anyway. David is saying hello. Happy Saturday. Renaud is saying, but colourful shirt. What? Hello, by the way. What do you mean, but colourful? Oh, sorry, colourless face. Yeah, okay, I get it now. Maybe the brain's a little bit colourless as well. Yes, pretty colourful shirt, actually, you're right. Megan saying, you look great as always, very, very kind. Thank you. Greetings from Montreal, says Nick 1447. And DJ saying, Christmas buy already planned and also picked up Homeros Ambre from Ansar Oud recently. Ooh, so what's the Christmas buy? Anyway. We should get going with this one. So this is the latest from Tom Ford, the latest addition to the private blend line. It is Ebene Fume, or smoked ebony, I suppose, burnt ebony. I have smelt this one before, and I was in 2 or 3 or 4 minds about whether I wanted to do a video on it at all. And as you can see, in the end, I decided to do it. Matty is saying, nice clear bottle. And actually, yes, I agree. I thought, oh, maybe they decided to go for a clear bottle for this one because the color of the juice is quite attractive. I guess the question is, how much does this clear bottle Tom Ford retail for, says Aperol Spritz. I'm not sure. Perhaps somebody could go and find out how much it costs on the American Tom Ford website and the British Tom Ford website. But I thought this particular release would be a useful excuse, or a useful opportunity, I should say, to talk about these sorts of scents. And you will know exactly what I mean as soon as I say the words synthetic sandalwood. And I wonder if any of you have already tried this one, because it's been out for a few weeks. 2 ads just to get in, says Gino, but I'm happy I'm in. Greetings from Mini Singapore. Oh, sorry, I have no control over how many ads you have to go through. Sorry. These sorts sounds ominous, says Matty. Yeah, okay, so already getting a blast of the synthetic sandalwood. So for those of you who get the reference, you kind of suddenly feel as though you've stepped into Harrods, and particularly as though you've stepped into Harrods during Eid. okay, when it's got, I would guess synthetic sandalwood just from the juice color, says Gavin. Renault says, is it Javanol? It may well be. I didn't particularly think Javanol when I smelt it, but then I'm not fantastic at telling all of the synthetic sandalwoods apart from each other. I was thinking more things like Ebenol. Javanol, I find one of the more attractive ones of these synthetic sandalwoods. Anyway, so I tried it on a strip last week, but it didn't send me, says Eric. I heard this one is a little below par, says Smoke. Okay, so we're maybe kind of all in the same ballpark here. It's priced at the lowest tier of private blend releases, says Nick, cheaper than the likes of Lost Cherry. Effin' fabulous, thank you. But anyway, the synthetic sandalwood scents, of which there are now many, they are obviously a thing. And I thought to myself, okay, well, if Tom Ford has done one now, then clearly they are a little bit of a thing, and clearly lots of people out there like them. And I wonder if they're almost going to be, or they perhaps already are, like the sort of the woody amber or the ambery woods phenomenon. And by that I mean materials, scents, compositions that really don't do anything for me. In fact, some of them I find quite repulsive and very difficult to take. Not this one, it has to be said, but I'll explain what I mean in a moment. But then I thought, okay, maybe there's just something that I'm missing. Maybe there's just something that I'm not getting about how some of these scents work. I will never forget years and years ago talking to somebody who used to work at Procter & Gamble and was very high in the fragrance division at Procter & Gamble back when they did do a lot of perfumes. They don't so much now. And because of his background, because of his cultural associations, because of where he was brought up, he had a real problem with lavender. And actually a lot of people who grow up in the UK have a problem with lavender because of the associations with, this is a terrible term, and you know, I'm only just repeating, so don't shoot the messenger, but you know, the whole thing that it's meant to smell of old ladies, etc., etc. I mean, I think that's one of the most pointless and silly and unhelpful things you could say about a smell anyway. And he realized that as somebody who works in the industry, he would have to try to break through this barrier. And so he went all out and he planted lavender plants, lavender bushes in his garden because he thought that he needed to reassociate himself with the smell of lavender and almost recalibrate his cultural, emotional connection to it. And the point of mentioning that story is because I wonder if there is just something about these synthetic sandalwoods and woody ambers that I just have to get through so that I can understand their point in a composition and I can appreciate them. Because at the moment, I'm afraid I'm with Monsieur Jean-Claude Eleanor, and I've said this in videos before. When I interviewed him, I forget what it was even in relation to, but it was when he was at Hermès. We talked about synthetic sandalwoods, and he said that he absolutely can't stand using them and he will never use them. And I said, why? And he just pulled a face and he said, because they all stink. And I thought, okay, well, at least he's being honest. Now, having said all of that, I did smell Ebene Fume and thought, okay, if you must have a scent that is very strongly based on synthetic sandalwoods, then this is probably one of the best ones I've smelled, in the sense that the synthetic sandalwood volume is turned to a relatively palatable level. And it doesn't do that really horrific, crass, screaming thing. And I think that's one of my problems with a lot of these synthetic sandalwood compositions, is that they all ultimately just come down to nothing but that synthetic sandalwood. And there is nothing interesting or nuanced about the drydown. The most kind of tooth-jarring, nail-screeching example of it that I can think of is Penhaligon's Halfeti, which I really struggle with. And I know a lot of people love Halfeti. I think it's just so unfortunate that they have decided to make that the smell of the shop, the smell that gets pumped out of their boutiques as you walk past them. You know, it feels like half of Regent Street in London smells of Halfeti, which I just find really unfortunate. There are lots of other examples. Another one that comes to mind is, I think, is it Bois d'Ébène from Matière Première, the Aurélien Guichard brand. There are quite a few out there. I don't get on with them. Madame Persolaise smelt this one and did her usual, ooh, that's nice. But then after a few minutes, she starts thinking that maybe it's a little bit too loud, maybe it's a little bit too harsh, although she and I do disagree on these sorts of perfumes. Mind you, what else do we get? Actually, I should do some comments because a lot of you are saying lots of things here. David says Tom Ford already has a sandalwood, a Santal blush. Gosh, that's a beautiful piece of work, but perhaps we won't talk about it here. No innuendo with this one. Well, not unless one stretches one's imagination. Okay. Smoke says Tom Ford will have to come up with magic to win me back, but I'm always curious when they release something new. Absolutely, so am I. And I liked Soleil Brûlant from earlier this year. I thought that was a really, really good piece of work. Finn said, hello, happy to be on the live stream. Always wanted to ask you what you think about Xerjoff perfumes. Haven't found anything on your blog. No, I don't think it's been years since I smelled a Xerjoff, so maybe I'll have to address that. Demeter's synthetic sandalwood, says Sarah, makes me think of nail polish remover for some reason. Interesting. Tomasz says, hello from smoky, air-polluted Katowice. It's not the smokiness we all like to smell in perfume. My lungs are protesting against using coal to heat old houses. My nose is going to drop off my face. Oh dear. Time to Musk Up says, Falcon leather made me want to throw up. That's from Matière Première. Funnily enough, I thought that was one of the better ones. But again, with that, I find that, again, oddly, with that, I thought, we have Tuscan leather from Tom Ford. We don't need that one. Anyway, Try Zemfira, says Smoke, by Bortnikov. It's supposed to have natural sandalwood. The thing is, natural Australian sandalwood on its own does actually stink. There's nothing wrong with synthetic sandalwoods. There's nothing wrong with any perfumery ingredient or material, right? The thing is how they are used. Javanol, when you smell it, actually, I think is beautiful. I wonder why, particularly, Renaud, if you're still watching, why you asked about Javanol. I've been told that Javanol is actually the most expensive of the synthetic sandalwoods. When you smell it, it is beautiful. But when they're overdosed, and I think maybe that's the other thing about these sorts of scents, where somebody's just gone, yes, let's just do the synthetic sandalwood overdose, and it'll be fine. It'll sell thousands of bottles, and probably this one will. And maybe it's the crassness that I object to. Does the synthetic sandalwood give you the same tranquility feeling you get from the real one? Says Jane. Not me, absolutely not, because the synthetic stuff seems to shout, whereas the natural stuff absolutely doesn't. Loud and screechy sells, says DJ. Yes, you are right. A lot of people in the industry have been telling me lately that everything is about that horrible P word. It's, performance, performance, performance. Yes, you've made a perfume that lasts for 6 hours, but can you make one that lasts for 16 hours, which is just insane, because performance and long-lastingness really, really isn't everything that it should all be about. Nick says, another grossly synthetic sandalwood scent from me is Yasep from Bulgari. I seem to remember not being too crazy about that one either, but I'd have to check my notes. I'd say Ebene Fume doesn't reach that far. After smelling my Soar sandalwood, the others don't compare, says Time to Musk Up. And so on and so forth. Now, from the brand, okay, mindfulness meets opulence in Ebene Fume, a transcendent scent starring the ancient ritual of Palo Santo. And I thought, well, how is Palo Santo in itself a ritual? But anyway, providing a quiet, centering calm amidst heated woods, fresh herbs, mesmerizing resins, and opulent blooms. I haven't talked about any other notes here because the synthetic sandalwood really, really does dominate. Although, yes, you do get a sense of the dry herbs. You do get a sense of other woods. And I should stress, if this is the sort of thing you would like to wear, this is probably the best example of it. And if ever I want to try and work out or understand what it is about synthetic sandalwood compositions that people find so attractive, this is almost certainly the one that I will start with, just to kind of try and get myself into that head space, nose space. Ebene Fume is a cleansing breath of exquisite exhilaration. The scent is ignited by the curl of Palo Santo smoke, a soul-lifting breath of fresh air inspired by the purifying benefits of the legendary burning wood. Palo Santo wood releases a mystical aromatic essence that blends together earthy notes, woods, citrus, incense, and a calming pine needle breeze. Incense, okay, perhaps. Joining in the opening ceremony is black pepper, absolute, and violet leaf, expressed by a woody forest floor earthiness. The core of Ebene Fume is spotlighted by the smoky, leathery notes and dry wood undertones of cade essence. I'll go along with cade, and the warm, elegant resin of cistus absolute, papyrus essence, and magnificent florals mingle with gorgeous roses, while exquisite African ebony wood, the color of darkest night and equally seductive, is captured in sublime notes of leather and resins. I mean, basically everything, right? Bolstering the African ebony is the warm, woody, smoky seduction of Gaiac wood and balsamic naturals. Okay, and the synthetic sandalwood. So this video has actually turned out to be a lot more negative than I thought it would be, because as in this genre of perfumes, I need to say again, this is definitely one of the better ones, but I can't help but see it as just too loud, you know, and everything going on here about how it's calming and centering and meditative. I just thought, well, we're clearly on a completely different page, which is why I thought of that story of the gentleman that I knew with the lavender. And one day I'm going to have to address this, you know, maybe just douse myself in some ebenol and see if I survive. Final comments go to, what are people saying? You Smells Good saying, modern sandalwood isn't simple to capture, as we all have our ideas of what past sandalwoods were capable of. Good point. I Am Leo says, smelt it at Sephora in New York and thought, blah, thumbs down. Smoke says, I'm not against synthetics at all, but I prefer natural sandalwood and natural oud. I've never been against synthetics. Okay, this isn't an against synthetics video at all. I love Hedione and White Musks, for example, and Denby, completely unrelated. Okay. But I finally worked out what the central accord in modern Kinesia 10 reminds me of. Pink Barrett's Refreshers. Anyway, back to synthetic sandalwoods. Fair enough. Right. Enough said about that one, because I've already gone on about that one longer than I should have. We will be back in a few minutes with something quite different. But thanks very much for watching. Bye.